It is the Fantasy Rugby Yanks. My name is Jared Dyke. I wanted to say it's stupid and let's move on, but then you kept going.
I'm Ben Glauser. I don't like any way anybody handled that.
Collusion. Hey everybody, welcome back. It is the Fantasy Rugby Yanks. My name is Jared Dyke.
I'm Ben Glauser.
We're back to it. I was down for the count. Needed to recover, unfortunately.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
So it sucks to have it be around this time of year, though.
Yeah. Well, and that was the point. Like, I didn't want to get my mom sick or anything like that. So
Of course not.
I didn't have COVID or anything, but just still, nobody wants to be sick around now. So
No, it sucks.
Yeah. So let's do.
And it means we get to put a whole bunch of stuff into, because we get
we're gonna
the
put
pets
a
off
lot into
Festivus,
one.
and yeah,
into one.
So bear with us, but it'll be entertaining and
buckles
and
up.
Fun. Yeah.
I'll open them up.
I'm unbuckling.
Yeah.
Dropping trowel, as I do.
Find us on your favorite podcast app. Share, download, rate, review. As always, give our good friend George, the Fantasy Rugby Geek, a bit of support by buying him a coffee or a beer.
Indeed.
We know he's on
late on
hiatus until Six Nations-ish time, but
yeah,
still be charitable around the holidays, as it were.
Right. Exactly. He's been so kind throughout the year.
Yeah. Year-end bonus for the man.
Right.
As always, there is no discrimination on this podcast, nor should there be in life or in sports. One thing you and I talked about
sports, like
no, especially not sports. Fucking no. But one thing you and I talked about the other week was obviously there's a new movie coming out called Avatar, which was a good one the first time around, but it might not get the same reaction this time because the director came out and said something really fucking stupid. Like, not only stupid, just like asshole. Like,
right.
Come on.
And the story's like, I don't get it. How is this still, like, the first one was like, I get it, the visuals are cool, but the story is so fucking derivative. Like, yes, we've all seen Pocahontas. We know the story.
Right.
Like, it's the same fucking story. But it's always like, oh, this, the white man has to be the savior of the, like, from the white man. It's like, how about we just be we don't be dicks, especially when there's more than enough to go around. So, but yeah, so there's that. The story kind of, I don't get it. I remember watching it and being like, why the hell what was so special? It was like a same thing with like Knives Out. I'm like, what the hell is so special about this?
The first one or the new one?
I haven't seen the new one because
the new one's better. The new one's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first one I was like, this one's fucking stupid.
Yeah,
like,
no, and that was the review from everyone.
Yeah.
It sucked. No, the new one's better.
But back to what was it, James Cameron?
That one
said that in the maybe the indigenous peoples of the previously America prior to the United States would have fought harder for their land if they had known the suicide rate of their descendants. And it's like,
nope, that's not.
No, that ain't
cool,
it,
man.
Ain't it? Like, how about we
try again?
It's like these people should have fought harder against us. Like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, no, that does not compute, bro.
You don't get to say that. We committed atrocities against them. Like, they should have fought harder. Fuck you.
Yeah, kind of bullshit.
Yeah,
just kind of.
Right. And one thing I do want to touch on, because we missed last week. This is what we were going to talk about last week. This week, obviously, we got to talk about Benetton. And the rotten banana in the room. I just want to say that because we'll move on to rugby stuff, but I'm glad they're doing a full investigation and getting like prosecutors involved. It seems like, although I'm not sure how the law works over there, what exactly they're doing, but it does seem like whether it's legal or just within the union, I don't know, but they're getting people involved. It's not just going to be this person's punished, he says an apology, and that's it. Like, they're looking into, because there's obviously systemic stuff. A full investigation is absolutely the way to go, as long as they don't sweep things under the rug. Like, let's hope they do it right. But it's the right choice.
Yeah, agreed.
I feel like it's easier to sweep it under the rug if you had just said, "Oh,
Always.
he apologized," and or we fined him or suspended it and both, and yeah,
Always easier to do that, but it's nice that they're not
yeah,
doing it in such a manner. They're
right. It should
going
never have
about.
happened. It should never have been like a um something that should be within the cult. Like it shouldn't have been even thought to be acceptable. The fact that players laughed at, like this isn't good.
No, no good, man. No good. And then don't forget that we have a Patreon for you all to subscribe to. And links have been up. Boom Bust is up finally. Yeah, another topsy-turvy. I'm still playing catch up over here.
Yeah, me too. I haven't gotten the sheet updated for this week. I will.
But
By the
I'm
time,
sure that'll be out soon.
yeah.
Out in time. But we did get that last one was almost fully updated with no real blips, right?
The only glitches are minutes, and
Right,
who really
well,
gives a shit about that? I'll fix
that's
it.
tough.
It's
That's
not.
tough, man.
Yeah,
That's
I don't know
tough.
where the hell is going wrong with that. I'll find it though.
Yeah, it's in there.
Yeah,
It's a bug. Squash that bug.
Mhm.
All right. So, without further ado, even though the technical date was last week, we're going to do it anyway because we missed it.
Mhm.
It's
for the
time for the
It
Festivus.
can happen. It can happen whenever. It's it's for the soul.
So I will let you, for those that aren't aware of what Festivus is, explain as you do so well.
Festivus was invented by Seinfeld, the show, and it's one of the characters' curmudgeonly father's winter solstice holiday of preference, I guess is the way to put it. He has just a metallic, or was it an aluminum pole, no tinsel because he finds it distracting, so no decorations, and instead of presents and whatnot, you air grievances. You just lay it out there, and you have a feat of strength. And then the Festivus can't be over until the feat of strength is completed. So, and that he has George Russell in one of the main characters, and that's the feat of strength. So, but for us, how we do it is we air our grievances for the rugby world, and we do a feat of strength is by saying something nice about someone, some team, something that you don't generally like.
Mm-hmm. And that is what we will do.
Right. For example, I guess I'll give my first grievance I got to air. I think it's no we don't hide the fact that we are Saracen supporters.
Mm-hmm.
I newer to Prem and supporting Saracens and Jared, likely more impatient because of it. But as Jared knows, Mark McCall has been kind of a pain in my butt recently. He's the coach of Saracens, or DOR.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's doing a mediocre job with the talent. He's not getting nearly as much out of the talent as he should. And I feel like it's almost like an Eddie Jones situation, except that McCall knows better because he's shown in the past that he can open it up and play. And then he went all last year of very conservative, like he's coaching it like he's a test coach. And it's not a test match. It's a fucking Prem match. Just fucking play rugby. You guys are good. They'll win on talent alone. Like they're winning on talent alone because you're not letting them do much else. You're not letting them really attack and expose the defense.
Right.
And when they do that, they're super effective. And I also don't like that the team that he names. Jared can tell you how many times I've been texting. I'm like, these wings fucking suck. Everyone who's not named Max Malins, or Daly when he plays there, every other one just fucking they're slow. They're fucking dick-handed. They're not good. They're not threats. And it's like that's all all the other stuff. You're missing this one thing. And then thank God for Ivan Van Zyl. He's saved McCall's bacon seriously because their scrum half position last year was blah.
Yeah, he stepped forward big time,
and he stepped up and cleaned that shirt. So, but without him, that's it. That's all they got. So I'm just kind of annoyed by the way his stewardship, and they're still good. I mean, fuck, they're top of the table. So what am I complaining about? But it's like they could be better. They could
still
be Leinster,
better, which is terrifying.
You could be Leinster, and you're choosing to be more like Leicester than Leinster. And right now, I don't want to be Leicester, even though they won the Prem last year. I want to be Leinster, who's possibly the best club team in the world, and you have that ceiling, and he's not pushing him to it, and that annoys me.
Yeah, and you and I witnessed firsthand what happens when they decide to open it
Right.
up, again against Leicester, and
Right.
that is fun stuff to be a part of.
It really is, and it's better for the players. 50 points,
but yeah,
right. But it's better for the players. Like, they're having more fun when you constrain them. Like, that's what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
You're like, oh, you have all this talent. Well, you're not going to use it.
Well, right. Yeah, not really
so
advised. Not really advised. Okay, so I will begin my airing of grievances with someone that an organization that is near and dear, maybe not so much, but definitely top of our minds almost always, and that is United States Rugby. And it's just the mismanagement isn't just like this World Cup cycle. I think people need to understand that, and maybe we didn't get into that last time when we were kind of undressing the United States as much as we could. It is just it goes so much deeper. It goes all the way back to, do you remember the Rugby channel once upon a yesteryear? And that was like a thing that cost them so much money, and it was supposed to make them money. Right. And that was a decision made by USA Rugby. And it's been decisions as such that have continued to just, handcuff us. And then we go out of our way to pay way too much money to Gary Gold, which I have no issue with Gary Gold, but like, we paid too much money to a guy that wasn't going to coach that many test matches because we're too stupid to figure out how to schedule test matches. Yeah. So it's,
paying a lot of money
to a number of things.
Yeah.
It's a number of things. It's the over reliance on expats, which in yours here too, you have to rely on that to a point.
Yeah.
And that I understand, but still,
it's been 20 years.
Right. We just don't bother to
build up.
Yeah. We just don't bother to build our base. We're an inverse pyramid right now. It's not good. You know, it's a lot of we are a pyramid. Excuse me. We're very top heavy. We have no base. Or no, that's exactly it. We're an inverse. I had it right. So,
yeah.
This is what happens when I don't have enough beer.
You're tired. You're too sober.
I'm too sober. But yeah, it's an inverse pyramid. Way too much at the top. Where our funnel is very small, and it's no good. It's not producing players from a young age, and we're not. And I think there are some, now that the MLR has been well established for 5-6 years now. It's going to help, and we see, you and I can see kind of
because I hope it gives more opportunity. Like, it gets more opportunity to someone like Cam Davidovitz, who would not have gotten a sniff anywhere else, but is showing that this guy can play. And he'll get there, but it's like how many Cam Davidovitz is, and that's not even fair because Mystic has been like, one of those trying to be like a top flight thing, like they're trying to be the elite, what have you, and being that like, oh, we're a pathway to something, but it's like, it's not, they're the guys that they import aren't doing it. It's like this random guy who decided to do the work himself and kick some ass. Like, absolutely. We need more like that. There's so many players out there who will never get an opportunity, and it's not that like they don't deserve one. It's just that nobody's looking for them because they don't fit the mold. Like USA has that mold. Like, oh, you have to be this or this or this, and and you have to go to this camp, and you have to do this, you have to prove yourself with this. So
right, and there's the
sorry, I'm encroaching on your grievances.
Right, yeah, coaching. There's Corbacero who's doing kind of a thing that we need to do because we do have athletes here. Try and convert some of our athletes that just aren't going to quite make it into the bigger professional sports that could still make it in rugby, but you just got to teach them, and that's the thing. It's coaching. It's coaching. It really is, and coaching is obviously something, as much as player personnel and staff lacks, coaching lacks here too. There's no question about it. Totally. Coaching lacks, refereeing lacks. It's pretty bad. You get three problems and none of which they're really addressing. So, like, I'm sorry, I'm a complete dunderhead when I know the laws better than most referees that step foot on the pitch for the kids.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this is gonna be fun.
And they don't watch it, so they don't know. Like they
No,
don't know what they're
not.
really looking at exactly. So they just have their own interpretation, and it's usually not correct.
Yeah, I usually go out of my way afterwards to ask them, like, how much rugby do you watch?
Yeah,
in general, and it's usually just MLR, which is not a good standard to watch.
Right. Like I had a ref recently, twice with BU this year, name of Ben. So obviously he's a good guy. He was yeah, kind of. But he got along pretty well. So but he was like, he was new to refereeing, but he watches rugby. Like I talked to him afterwards. He was like super excited to get back and watch, like, a replay of a Prem match. And I was like, excellent. Like I'm like, you're getting it right. Like we need more like you. Like you might not. Do I agree with every decision he made? No, but it was one of those. I still liked him. It was like, no, okay, you didn't like that one, but you'll give me one that I do like later, and that'll be fine. And he did. Like he balanced it well. So it was like, and he's new. We need that. We don't need those old heads who learned in the 80s and still don't know shit.
Still don't know anything. Yeah. There was a young one we had as well. And I asked him, I was just like, so are they gonna like push you into the playoffs or anything? He's like, no, I'm done. I was just like, oh man, you're better he was better than that.
Yeah.
I know the names that got put into the high school playoffs, and none of which I was excited about.
No,
and you
it's
and I
all
both
like an all boys club, and
yeah. So I was like, so yeah, lots of problems, all of which sit at the base of it, with lack of talent at the lower levels, lack of coaching, and lack of refereeing proficiency.
Yeah. All right, my second grievance and final is a general thing. Obviously, we're kind of, I have a coaching bug too, but we're on that theme. Test coaches who are up their own asses and put themselves and their ego above the team. And for example, one who's recently fired.
There's a few of them out there.
And well, two of them were recently fired. Where, like, okay, first off, you coach 10 to 15 matches a year, right? That's it.
Yep.
And what are you doing breaking your players? Why are you having this ruling training? I get they need to be in shape and whatnot, but like, it's rugby. Get them in shape by having them play rugby and just running, not this like Navy SEAL type bullshit. Like flying them out somewhere else where they're not won't fucking touch a rugby ball, but they'll just do fitness for 3 days, and it's like, that's your camp. Like, you need to get them in shape well, not in shape, but like in form to play the international game, and they just don't do that. And then they don't pick they pick the players that they like rather than who are good for the team, or because it's like, well, they don't play the style I like. Well, then fucking change your style.
Right.
Like, if you need to have like this kind of guy, like, and you don't have that kind of guy, so you just pick a guy you like and say, oh, he can do it. They can't do it. Like, you're putting yourself above it. Like, nobody, when like, coaches love to say this, and we see this in the NFL too. Like Belichick has regressed considerably since he put himself above the team, and he started doing things that made he wants to be right. So I'm going to do this, and no. The team is the team. Like, you have to live in the world you have, and with the players you have, work with them to do the best. Don't just fuck with them. Like, and like, as I said earlier, they have all this, they have XYZ talent. Use it. Don't just use X. And especially, they don't use players who are not really that good at X. You gotta, right. I don't quite, they make it seem so much harder than it really is. I mean, come on. Like, how much, work do you really have to do, honestly, to beat like a Fiji type like that? You don't have to do much preparation because they just fucking chuck it around. So you just, there's a couple teams you need to get them, in position to beat when, there's one game for it all, if you're a high level test coach. So work on those.
Yep.
Work on what you need to do. And the whole Eddie, oh, we were right there. It's like, you haven't done shit. It's been 2 years since you've like really shown an attack. No, nobody's believing it. You have to actually do it in a game. You can't just be like, oh, all these coaches that I've ever grown up with have always said you can't just flip a switch. And to an extent, that's true. And, it's not, depending on what they're talking about. But in this case, you can't just go from, we're shelling, we're we're just playing defense, we're just kind of going into a shell, to, okay, now we're going to open it up. Now we're going to open our attack up. It doesn't work that way. You're going to be off kilter. You're not going to be, that your timing's off. Nobody knows how to really play with each other. No, it doesn't work that way. You got to open it up and let the players play. It's about them anyway.
Always should be. Always should be. Yep.
The coaches who want to win, who claim to want to win it, and they basically want to win it for themselves. It's like, no, you don't win. Those coaches rarely win, and when they do, it's because they get lucky and have the right players.
Sometimes
it has nothing to do with their skill.
Yeah, I know. We've seen many coaches that just rode the coattails of really good players.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So my second and final will be about the and it sounds like it's been walked back, thankfully, but these stupid trial laws that the Premiership was proposing, or whoever it was proposing, and they were just so ridiculous. And I was just like, let's not change laws while we don't have to. Okay,
right?
We haven't talked about the stuff that's come out from World Rugby. They're not really changing laws; they're just enforcing them. Basically, is what it comes down to, and that's fine.
Yeah,
enforce those, keep going.
I like that law about the you have to try to keep your feet in a ruck, and apparently they just don't like that. Yes, that to me says the crocodile roll is illegal,
right?
Because you're not trying to keep your feet. I'm good with that. That's a great. Now I'm into that rule, but enforce it.
Yeah, enforce things.
Yeah. I didn't realize that was in the rules.
Yeah, it's definitely in there. Has been for a while, but it's
didn't realize
so silly to put in more laws like that. Number two, about that thing, if you're looking for better entertainment, number one, the league is very entertaining. If you haven't noticed, it's very unpredictable, and Ben and I are going to get into that in a little bit. It's very unpredictable, so that in itself is great. And we're talking about squeaky bum time left, right, and center. Very watchable in a lot of ways. But also, if you're looking for more fans, more engagement, one, get your fucking website fixed, because we can't read match reports on certain matches, and that's a weekly thing. That's stupid. That is a basic. And two, as we've said, it takes nothing to get a rugby game up and running. It really doesn't take much. It's a basic, straightforward thing.
Right. Buy the Rugby Mag. It's all right. The infrastructure's there, and it's perfect. There. It's so amazing as a site.
Yep.
How you have all this money to pay guys like Eddie Jones, use a little bit of it. Well, I know that's Prem and RFU, but still, the RFU should be funding that shit too. It should come from the yeah. All right. Yeah. Sorry.
If the Autumn Nation series can have a fantasy game, so can the Prem. Yep. So if both Six Nations can have a fantasy game, so can the Prem. It's not going to be hard,
and that's super rudimentary too.
Do it.
Yeah,
even if it is something as basic as those ones, right? Do it. You'll engage. Your engagement will go through the roof. Speaking from a something that's comparable. Premier League, Fantasy Premier League is very rudimentary. It is based on goals, assists, and clean sheets, and some sort of, and there's a couple of weird bonuses thrown in there. It is so fucking popular. Can't even tell you that. And I know the league's much more popular than the Premiership, but still, you keep engagement with that stuff. They have their own Twitter handle for just Fantasy Premier League. It is the engagement is very easy and right there. But just they're ignoring it, and they're trying to go 1,000 different ways away from it, except this way. It's just accept it, and let's stop being dumb. Everybody talks about fantasy NFL, and I barely watch the league, and I play it. It is something that will never be matched by Premiership, but to ignore it and just completely sweep it under the rug is stupid, because there's so much to be gained from it. There really is
engagement on the table, and money, because just from ads alone.
Yeah.
It would be worth it. You would make that money back in ads alone.
Yeah. Run an ad on the side of the site.
Right.
Nobody's got to pay attention to it. It'll still bring in money.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's real easy.
Okay.
All right, time to lift some weights, buddy.
All right. Okay, here we go. There's been a recent trend of teams changing their styles and becoming more successful for it. In some cases, like Ireland, it's relaxing the structure because they're way over constrained the players, as I was saying. We're they're not getting to use their full talents, and now they're opening. They opened it up a little bit, and that's been helpful. And then on the other side, there's like a France who have gone the other way and said, all right, instead of like loosey goosey, just chuck it around, play, jouer. There's more structure to it, and holy shit, are the results there. And they kind of match those kind of stuff. Two teams who play very similarly now. I gotta say, I really like what South Africa have done with their structure, and I think it's gonna make them. It makes them so much more dangerous because they're now, they still have the brutal physicality, and they have it on defense, and they do have it obviously. Etzebeth just has it whenever he's around some sort of contact situation, he's gonna be bringing pain. Whether or not it's legal or clean, but that's not beside the point. He's just it's going to happen, so you got to be ready for it. But the structure is there, and it's really opening them up, and it's really making a lot of the players more valuable, and it's really showing up as a good thing. That's something that they needed to do. Like it's weird how they won one of maybe the really that I don't know. I think New Zealand would have housed them that year. So it's just kind of like they kind of won because Eddie played the way you need to play Eddie played that game the way South Africa needed an opponent to play to win with that style.
Yep.
And now they play more than that. And so they are going to put more pressure on the other team, not just defensively. And that's good to see. It's good for the game.
Only good for their game.
Right. And I'm also annoyed at the people who said they couldn't do it because they don't have the resources. I'm like, no, that doesn't make any sense. So yeah, it's not about resources. It's just about coaching style and doing what's best for the team.
Yeah, I'd say they have, in a lot of ways, I'd say they have plenty of resources.
Right.
Certainly
right.
Their player pool is not lacking.
Exactly. Like I'm not as an US rugby person, I'm really not. US rugby is not comparable to, say, the US Army in terms of resources.
Definitely not. So. Definitely not. Okay. So, something nice. So I'm definitely a big proponent of referees from a certain country that aren't always my favorite. And I'm like, oh no, when I see one in a Champions Cup game or in a test match, I'm like, God damn it, here goes the neighborhood. But I have to say, the last year and a half, I have no issue with Macho Reynal. I have very few grievances against the guy for, as much as we've had Garces and Gozer and Plot, all of which I couldn't stand to watch referee a test match, especially. Reynal's done a really good job, and he understands what I think he also now understands the teams he's refereeing, and not necessarily just goes.
Isn't he the one that didn't join a coaching staff to be? No. Was that wasn't him?
No, that's what a lot of the referees do in France when they're done. So Plot's done that.
Okay.
Ruiz, who's terrible, has done that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's.
I just wasn't sure if he was getting more the play, really understanding what he's reffing.
Yeah. No, he does understand what he's doing now, and we talk about enforce the laws that are there. Bernard Foley, time wasting. Sorry to Australia fans, but he warned him several times, and I have to say, he communicates better than most French referees out there for sure. He is very straightforward and tells them how it is. Nope, this is what I want. Most French referees just shut the fuck up, and they leave you guessing around around the breakdown, and you're just like, what do I do? And he's been much better about it. So I give him loads of credit for that. And yeah, and refereeing the laws as they're there. The game he had the other week with Exeter and Bulls, those are two teams he would never referee otherwise. And the scoreline might have made it easier, but really, I don't think he had no real mistakes of note. And that's how he's been most of the year too. So I give him a lot of credit, and that's me saying that about French referees, which I'm usually just like pulling my hair out when I see them.
Yeah.
As who's got the whistle in a match. I'm like, oh no. Not him anymore, at least. Let's put it that way.
Ooh, okay. That was nice.
And it's all out there now.
And I'm spent. Oh, wait, except for now we get the
now we got more.
Thing.
We got more.
Well, wait, there's more.
Well, wait, there is more.
Bonus content.
So we're gonna go through our 5 moments of the year. Because we are on the 28th, obviously. So now this is now year-end stuff that we would be doing this week. So Festivus was last week.
Now we're right.
All right. I'll leave this off since you lit off the other one.
Sure thing.
So we'll start with number 5. Number 5 for me, despite all the issues that are going on with United States Rugby, one of my favorite moments this year, we are awarded the World Cup.
That's nice.
For the next for 31 and 33. So that to me is still a step forward, despite the fact the team itself has taken a step back. That is a step forward for the country in general. But it's definitely one of those 2 steps forward, maybe 1.5 steps back at this point. But yes,
I like it. This means that we're definitely have at least one difference, because that's not in mine.
There we go.
So we're switching
alternate.
off.
We're alternate.
My 5th best moment of the year is the Freddie Burns penalty to win the Prem.
Yeah.
And again, Saracens fan saying that wasn't
even a penalty, it was a droppy.
Oh, it's a droppy. Fuck, that's right.
It was a droppy.
Fuck, that makes it even better. I sorry, Frederick. The droppy to win.
Even better.
Just ballsy moment, and obviously we love the guy, so it was one of Jared. That's one of those motherfucker. He did it.
Like, well, can't be mad.
Okay, yeah, I can't be mad.
Well, it's really hard to be mad.
McCall, as I was earlier. So.
Right. That's what we were mad at, not the not who did it and how it happened.
Yeah, good on you, man. Like big balls, getting it done. We've seen you be anti-clutch before, so yeah.
Yep. Good on him. Number 4 for me was this was a particularly fun year to be a Free Jacks fan, even though things didn't go well in the playoffs. But best record in MLR, we were the first team to win 13 games, I think it was.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun. I felt fortunate to be a season ticket holder and to be at 90% of those matches, and that was a whole lot of. It was just a fun season in general. Like, the end left a bitter taste, but really overall the season was so much fun, especially all the home games. We only had the one loss at home, and that was at the end and we had that at the end, which was kind of the shit kickers were in at that point. So not really going to worry about that one, but so hopefully more of the same this year.
Right. My number 4 is this is split between 2 moments in one game because of what they meant. First is the Josh Vanderfleer try 3 minutes in, and the second is the Rob Herring Mall Peel try at 64 minutes or so, versus New Zealand to win the series.
Yep, that's a good one.
Like Ireland winning, in like I went needs to go up in order of importance. So that to win a test match series against New Zealand in New Zealand, fuck yeah.
Yep. That is my number 3 moment of the year, is Ireland series down in New Zealand. So it was obviously a monumental thing. New Zealand don't lose in New Zealand very often, let alone
does not simply walk into Yeah.
Yeah, let alone lose the series. So it was pretty notable that they lost the series and obviously people had to stand up and take note of Ireland. And at the same time, people realized maybe New Zealand isn't what they used to be, which I think at this point we can mostly agree that they aren't.
Right. If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah. If it bleeds. So it speaks well to what Ireland are building. It speaks well to what Andy Farrell is doing. It's
very much so.
It's a good, a good Ireland team is good for World Rugby. So let's see what that means going forward. And I do still believe a good All Blacks team means it's good for World Rugby as well. So we'll see if they rebound, and then we just get ourselves a powder keg in France in 2023. So yes, that is my number 3 moment of the year.
So then my number 3 is my US involvement moment. Not in a good way.
Not positive.
Rodrigo Fernandez try versus USA to clinch the World Cup entry. Like, what a fucking run.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of again, you can't I can't be mad at him.
No.
Fucking,
every US player that missed. Every US player that missed.
It should never have been that close anyway. And so good on him for being like, oh, fuck you. We're not just going to keep it close. We're going to win. Like, yeah, good.
And it didn't win it, but it made a huge difference in that scoreline because obviously it made it easier for them to come here to Infinity Park to upset us. And really, if you take that one out, that makes it so much easier for the US to qualify.
Yeah.
So I give him, loads of credit to the guy. And he just decided, I'm doing this on my own damn self. Yeah. He knew he was covered in he was wet. He's like, I'm covered in mud, I'm wet, there's no way they're gonna tackle me if I do this right. Sure enough.
And
number 2, the Rugby Yanks make it to London.
That was great.
And what a weekend it was, and took me a good week to recover from it, but
it did. That was
I am not mad about it at all. There was 0.0 regret in what we did. I can confirm, like, the only regret I had was I maybe should have got the hoodie that Ben got instead of the one I got, but guess what? I rectified that. I have that one now too, so not a problem. Really, that's it. Like, I had a little FOMO about that. That was the most. Other than that, like, it was such a great weekend.
It was fantastic. Everything, like, I still pinch myself about it. Every part of it was, except for Friday night trying to find a rugby on at a bar. That was the only.
We got to explore London a little bit.
We did. It just really was. That was the fucking perfect trip. Like, it's rare that you have a perfect trip. This was everything we wanted and or could ever expect and more. So.
Yeah, like, we were also half cocked trying to find that bar
pretty much the entire time. So
we were half cocked trying to find our way around on Friday night. So that wasn't helpful in any way, shape, or form.
Right. My number 2. So I kept this very, World Rugby picture.
I had to put that in there.
Yeah. My number 2 is Emily Scarrett's try versus Canada in the semis of the World Cup, where it's like, no, I'm back.
Yep.
Not Emily Scarrett. Sorry, I'm thinking
Dow.
What was it? Dow. Abby Dow.
Yep, Dow's. No, sorry. I knew where you were going. I knew where you were going.
Yeah, I was distracted while I was taking these notes earlier. I was like, I know I have these. Like, I brain shitted them out. So sorry, Abby Dow. My apologies.
Yes, Dow. No, I knew where you were going though.
Yeah.
The one that kind
of what a way to breaking your leg in the Six Nations just to come back, like, TOing it and crushing it, like, really well done.
Yeah, really, that was just a spectacular try in itself, let alone the fact where it was and the magnitude of it at the time.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing stuff.
Do
we have the same number 1?
Probably.
Rugby World Cup final, Eden Park, a final for the ages. For the ages. This one will live on forever. I will tell my nieces and my nephews about this final for a long fucking time, and I wasn't even there. I can only imagine what the hell people that were there
Right.
are gonna talk about, because that was an epic final, and I don't use epic very often, so that should tell you a lot.
Yeah, that was one of the best rugby matches I've ever seen.
On top of it all,
Right.
The only match that compared to that for me was probably Ireland, New Zealand in terms of Ireland, France in the Six Nations this past year in terms of quality and two teams going at it and the competitiveness of it. That was the closest one I could think of. But yes, this one was definitely top of the cake for sure.
And I did pick an exact moment. I had to, because of the way it wasn't just like they want the line out win at the death.
Yeah, man.
Like you don't do that. Like that is that's a fucking championship way to win a game. Like so you deserve a trophy for that.
Yeah.
But that's what you have to do to win them too. It's like a double-edged kind of thing. Like that's the best weapon that England have, and New Zealand spoiled it. And it's so hard to do.
Yeah.
And good on them, because it was selling out. They're saying, well, this is, if we don't get this, they're going to win anyway. So
totally
might as well go get it, because we're not defeating that maul. Ballsy, and obviously Ruby Tui, not even waiting for the final whistle to start celebrating.
She knew what was up
right away that it was over. Classic. Love it.
Yeah, if I had to pick the
moment at the end. Yeah.
If I had to pick a moment besides that one, it would probably be Stacey's try. That Demant looked like she was going to kick the touch, and she said, "Fuck it, quick tap, moved it wide, and Stacey broke it, offloaded it, got it back, scored." I was like, "Okay, that's special. That is special right there." So
remember, boys and girls, when you get the ball in space, you're all more dangerous the more times you touch the ball. Like you touch it once, okay, great, offload it, and then look for support, and that's when you score. Like
because they're not going to think to mark you again.
Right. You get lost.
Yep. It gets lost in the shuffle for sure. All right. Well, glad we got there at least. One was the same. All
that's good though. We had a lot of good moments. It's good that we could remember them all. So that's excellent.
Yep. We got there. I had it's so hard to decide between everything. You know, in my head, I'm like, all right, how can we get this?
No, those were my first. These were literally the 5 that came out immediately, and I'm like, wait. Then I thought more, because obviously I just
true.
You can tell I just spat them down on paper, and then I was like, okay, what's better than that? I'm like, oh fuck, I got nothing.
Yeah, nothing, man.
So
nothing.
I like that you went outside. I was just thinking World Rugby, so I'm glad that you put in, our rugby adventures too, at home and abroad.
Yeah, good old times.
Very good times.
All right. So now we're going to go into the 15 of the year. 15 of the year, and we'll name a coach of the year as well.
Okay. I did a player of the year as well, but
I have one highlighted as well.
Okay.
All right. So loose head. We might have the
Genji.
same loose head. Yeah, Genji. Yeah. So we think we have the same loose head. Yeah. And the fact that he's gone from Leicester, and the fact that Leicester are where they are, and that was before Steve Borthwick left.
Right.
Kind of says a lot.
It does. They lost a lot. I no doubt, but the biggest hole is Genj. He was their best attacking threat. Really, they don't really have much. Other than Visa, who's still there, but they don't have anybody who's stepping up to be that replacement in the pack.
Right. They need to find ways to fill it. I don't know if they can moneyball the shit out of it like some teams have tried, but yeah, it's not gone well either way.
No.
Hook.
Cocaine.
Yeah, it's funny. You and I flipped that because I picked Tutosi, because you and I had we had the two of them in our 15 of the year for the 15 of the tournament. So I went with Tutosi. Wanted to give her some love because, yes, as you pointed out before, better in the loose by far, and that to me just spoke well of me. So I wanted to put the finalists that I put into it. in the 15, but really overall, I really enjoyed Totosi as a player throughout the year. So gave her a thumbs up. So,
and I just really love cocaine.
I bet the fuck you do.
Which is funny because I don't touch drugs. So no, yeah, but it just makes me
laugh. Tight head.
There's really only one that you are allowed to pick this year, so I picked France Malherbe.
He was good. It's really hard to say otherwise. I went with Furlong only because of the New Zealand victory, but
that's
and you know it's hard to say no to Ty Furlong.
So
but I don't disagree with yours either. So by any means whatsoever, he's a tough nut to crack, no doubt. You know, so I don't disagree with that in any way, shape, or form. Into the engine room.
This was a down year for locks, I gotta say.
It was tough, yeah. There was some meh stuff going on.
Yeah. So both of mine come from the women's game because
no kidding. Okay.
Those are the ones that I thought played the best, and that's Maya Ruse, who was on my my World Cup 15, and the other is Abby Ward, who is just a fucking terror.
They were both in my I believe they were both in my 15 of the tournament. So
yeah, I didn't have Abby in my 15 of the tournament, but I thought she played well in Six Nations as well.
Six Nations as well. Yep, absolutely.
That's when we bring everything in.
Yep,
that's why that goes there.
Yeah,
same with cooking.
Yeah. So I went with a guy that's a difference maker, notably at least when he comes in, and that's Beth. Like you can tell the difference of a team, both when point out the Italy game, especially, and Italy are on the up, and South Africa are wallowing because they had the obviously shitbag got suspended, so on and so forth. And he came in and just all of a sudden things just changed. Like no more there was no more ambition from Italy. There was still ambition, but he stifled it. But you just felt the air change in that match, and he does it so often. How he didn't make the second row of the year, I don't know. I really don't.
It's why he's so good that you just can't ignore it. Like even the shit, like, so he gets very faff, except he's like he's like two faffs essentially. Worth of height and weight. He's just so physical. Like, who is he shaking? Genge or Sinclair? Sinclair. Just fucking shaking him like a rag doll, and it's like, but he's not really like attacking him. He's just fucking with him a little bit. And so, what are you gonna do? Like,
that's what he does.
Fuck, you just and he it's so fucking annoying to play against someone like that. But god damn, if he isn't good too. Like, he can play in the loose too for a guy that size. Fuck yeah, no, that's a good shout. I begrudgingly really like Etzebeth.
I do too. I do too. I've even since he's back when he was at Worcester once upon yesteryear, was he not? So even then, but yeah, so I've liked him a long time. So my other lock is also from Ireland, Tadhg Beirne. But it's not just. I appreciate what he does all the way from club level to international level as well. Like, he's always one of the standout players, not just because of the color of his scrum cap. That's very notable, obviously, but he really is. Like, everybody talks about James Ryan for Ireland, and really, I don't think that's the guy. I think it's Beirne. And James Ryan isn't bad by any means whatsoever. He's still one of the better locks in the universe. But I would still, if I have to pick a lock from Ireland, gun to my head, I take Tadhg Beirne. And that is how it is. I just think he's slightly better in the loose and still does all the other things you're supposed to do as a type 5 forward. So I give him a load of credit.
To my mind, he obviously is one of my considerations. He's one of my favorite locks. I thought he had a fairly for Tadhg Beirne, I thought he had a substandard year.
Maybe that's it,
So it's like, I mean, he's still a fantastic player, but this was not the Tadhg Beirne of last year or 2 years ago. So not that he was bad by any means. It's just, I think it's that because of the guy who's my number 7, takes up a lot of air. That takes up a lot of the oxygen in the attack. So it's just that he's featured less. So it's not exactly his fault.
Right. We'll start with 6 because I think we have the same 7. 6.
We better. 6 is also. I thought it was a bad year for 6s too.
Well, I cheated and slid someone to 6. So
see, I did that for the World Cup. I'm not going to do that for this one. So it's really Khaleesi.
Yeah, you'll never get an argument out of saying see Khaleesi.
I thought he played well this year too.
Yeah.
I think he's been really good. I thought he was excellent in the Champions Cup when I was watching him there too. So it's like he's doing it at all levels. So
yep, and he was good this autumn, especially. I think
he was
as well. Especially after Dum Dum got the suspension as well.
Yeah.
I couldn't not put my guy Artie Savea in there for team of the year. Think about how down New Zealand was this year.
Mm-hmm.
Artie Savea did not have a bad game.
No,
and I'm pretty sure he didn't have a bad game in the Hurricanes shirt either. So in a team that was meh, you always noted Artie Savea and his effort and what he was doing, and the guy's a monster on top of it.
He is.
Show of hands of people that want to defend Artie Savea right now. Like,
or
it's nobody. The list is on no one. Plus, he's a good poacher. He's a good leader.
And that's where I am with again, back to my Festivus grievances with the people who are up their own asses. Why would you want anybody other than Artie Savea? Like, why has he not been just like, this is our 8 or our whatever? This is
in the team every time. Yeah,
in the team every like what don't you like that he does? And he can do so much more than fucking anybody else you got.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Always.
Yeah. So no, he's yes. Like that's another one of those guys who like he should just be. He's penned in, not even pencil. But it took
ink.
This long for him to get a
stitch him in
shot.
there.
Yeah, I mean he's had shots
him into that lineup.
Right, he's had shots before and played well, and then he just gets kind of dropped. It's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I never get
God,
it.
I'm using.
And I know Hurricanes, they have to manage the minutes according to what New Zealand Rugby says, but like other than that, there's no reason to not name him. Right. It really isn't. 7 different.
Vanderfleer.
It's Vanderfleer. It's got to be. It's got to be incredible against New Zealand. Incredible in the Six Nations. Incredible for Leinster, and incredible once again in the fall. Like just yeah. And we talked about winning matches in different ways for Ireland, and they're able to do it. And it's because of him that they're able to win the matches very sexy and pretty, and also just muddy and ugly as well.
Right.
So he does it all. He really does.
It feels like 9 times out of 10 you see the referee blowing a whistle for holding on, and it's the guy with the red scrum cap getting up with the ball.
It's him.
Yeah.
Really is.
So
and rightly got player of the year as well by World Rugby. I don't think anybody could really argue it.
No, I think I did not argue with them in my player of the year selection either.
And it's Dutch, by the way. He's not South African. He's Dutch. Chill. God damn. I understand the whole thing going on in people's heads, but he's Dutch. Chill the fuck out with the South African stuff. It's funnier this way, but goddamn, chill, dude.
I find
chill, dude. Oh man, I was like, what the fuck? Come on. Oh man.
All right, who do you got at 8?
A lady after our own heart, Sophie DeGoody.
Sophie DeGoody as well.
Yes. All right. Cool. Yeah. I mean, all that she does for that team, and she's going to be there. Oh, fuck. I'm so annoyed that I'm a U.S.
that I'm here for 10 more years, 3 more cycles.
Oh God, we're stuck with her for a long fucking time, and she's going to terrorize the United States for a long bloody time. Does she get? She doesn't have an overseas contract, doesn't she?
What's sorry?
How does she not have a overseas contract right now?
I don't know. It's not right.
That's criminal to me.
It kind of is. Because goddamn, she should be playing with Alec Kelter, and they should be bonding and hanging out. And
she was at Series. She's 23. She's 23.
She's 23.
God damn it.
Yeah. We've seen her for a long time.
Yeah, she's gonna be hanging out. She's gonna get one of those World Rugby Player of the Year's awards. I can feel
Right.
it.
Yeah.
She was at series for a hot minute, but man,
And she'll be
she
able to
needs
play
to go
lock
back.
when she can't play 8 anymore too, which is kind of scary because she's big.
Yeah, she is rather large. Rather large.
So she can extend her career she can play as long as she wants to, really.
Mm,
As long as she stays healthy.
yeah, I think most people would agree with that one. Oh, 9.
JGP.
Yeah,
Somewhat of
good
a
one.
down year for nines, but Jamison Gibson
Yeah.
Park, kind of the same reasons you were talking about with Byrne, except that in this case, I feel like for Jamison Gibson Park, he's replacing a legend and
Connor
somehow
Murray, yeah.
improving on that. And it's no disrespect to Connor Murray, but Jamison Gibson Park is making that team hum. It's a different style. It's not the
It is. It is.
And obviously Connor Murray's still valuable. He's showing that at every level still. It's just that for what Ireland want to do now, Gibson Park is better at it than Murray is right now. And that, that's just a fact.
Yeah, and that's why he's obviously leapfrogged him as well. So
right. But to be the 9, do all that pressure that he, and that he's just, that's a lot of fucking pressure to be like, okay, you're gonna go play against New Zealand in New Zealand, with Connor Murray on the team, but like you're starting. That's
yeah.
You don't get at much higher pressure as an athlete than that. And dude,
there was a long time when we tiered Connor Murray as one of the top halfbacks in the world.
And he's not that bad. He's still not like he's terrible now. It's not like he's like, oh, you shit. He's still fucking good. It's just
agreed.
He's better now as a 20-minute replacement, and Gibson Park can fucking park it for 60.
Yep.
No pun intended.
Agreed. I went with Sansu and partner.
Yeah.
But because I mean, she would have been head and shoulders the best 9 at the World Cup if she hadn't gotten hurt. Like, no question about it in my mind. But still had a great year. Yes, Bourdon had to take her place, but still, like, I'd still give it to her and just the wee bit that you have to for her partner. But yeah, Sansu.
Yeah. Yep. Not a good shout too. And that sadly we won't see her.
No, it was a sad ending to the career. That was the other thing.
Yeah,
like,
that's
you gotta give her due because she
was in consideration for me too.
Yeah.
All right, number 10.
Dement.
Yep.
From New Zealand. Just wasn't good off the tee. We knew that. But really, other than that, that's everything you want from your 10 that she did.
Indeed.
In this run, especially in that World Cup run. Bar the kicking, which I can excuse because she played so bloody well otherwise.
Exactly. When you're still when you're making up for the points that you're missing out on, that's okay.
Yeah.
Like,
no kidding.
Yeah, it's okay. You can miss a couple conversions in PKs because you give us like 20 points a match just by being wizardry with the ball.
Yeah, she did it well, and she took their coaching advice that she got and the style that she got from her coaches and used it well.
Yep.
So it's really nice. All right, you want to go into the back 3? You want to go into the midfield?
Let's go midfield first.
All right.
My number 12. I feel like he's the best 12 in the world right now. Although it's getting better in general, but still, there's not many people that can do all the things that Andre Esterhuizen can do.
I had him on my short list and I didn't pick him, but he was close.
And I think he's better than Damien de Allende right now.
Right. That'll come good with time.
Right.
Just give it time. That'll come good. I agree.
But holy fuck, is he good?
Yeah, he really is. It's hard to argue with him. I mean, especially when you look at that performance that he put in down in South Africa for Quins. Like, just kind of willing his team to get there.
Right. They're never out of it if he's around.
Nope.
I mean, that's why Quins have been so good, because they have no shortage of guys like that, between Dombrent himself, Esterhuizen, Smith, Kerr, Murley, March. Like, you can just go down the list of these guys will, if they get the opportunity, they'll keep you in matches at the very least. But Esterhuizen being in the middle of it has a little bit of a harder job, but he does it really well. He does his part, makes it so much easier for the rest of them.
Yeah, you worry about Esther Hayes, and then it's like, oh shit, I got all these other guys to worry about too.
Right.
So
In attack and defense, like he will both just bowl you over and rip your defensive continuity to shreds.
mhm.
While at the same time, like you might have a play in mind, and he's just going to lay out, put pressure, lay out your guy, and make him, force bad plays.
Yep.
Yeah, it's hard to be that complete in that kind of position and that physical and play every minute and all that shit.
Yep. So you talked about a guy that plays 12 that does a lot, and I mean a lot. He does seemingly everything for his team. He's not capped yet, but he may well be very soon. But my 12 is Bernard Janssen van Rensburg. Seemingly out of nothing in so many ways for last year, and just has grown in, one, his role for the Exiles, but two, what he does for them in general, and how he just is able to be productive and help his team. And it's absurd on so many levels.
He's the inverse of a busy wing. Like he comes off of his 12 channel and will be on the wing and just be like, oh, I'm going to score this like a winger.
Yep.
What the fuck, dude?
Did that a couple times. Yep.
Who the fuck do you think you are?
Right. Well, apparently he's Bernard.
Hey, good for. I mean, yeah. I don't say that in a bad way.
Right.
But it's like, well, what makes you think you're allowed to do that, dude?
Absolutely. And he's just, yeah. I smell more for him in the future. I do. And and what's been a meh Exiles team, he's certainly been a bright spot.
He really has. He does that for them too. He does that same kind of role that, as I said, that Esther Hazen has, except he doesn't do all that well, but he does more a little bit. He does different things.
Yep.
But has that same kind of, yeah, I'm the guy you want on the line with ball in hand or on defense. Yeah.
13.
Good shit.
Outside.
Emily Scarrett. This is why I had Emily Scarrett, because I had her on the brain while I was doing that, and then that's why I sent her instead of Abigail.
Agreed.
It's Skaz.
Yeah, it's hard to put into words what Emily Scarrett means for not only her team but for England rugby in general.
Right.
It really is, and she continued to show that in the World Cup, especially. If you've heard the legendary story of her having to wring out her sock twice in that Australia quarterfinal, or whatever it was, I don't remember what the exact round was, but yeah, just ridiculous. And
I think that was against Canada, because that was they still threw the ball around anyway. Like,
no, that was against Australia.
Was it? Okay, it was Australia.
That was the really rainy game.
Oh yeah, okay. Got it.
Yeah, gross, but.
Yeah, because there's U.S. played Canada in that. That's right.
We're trying to find the right word for her in terms of who she is overall for that team, for just women's rugby in general, but also for England rugby specifically. Just Tallis woman doesn't quite do it, but it's close. And then if somebody can give me a better word, please help me out, because she deserves her own adjective, really.
Yeah. It's like something akin to saint.
Getting there. Sister.
Yeah, she's performed several miracles. No. I agree, everything you said.
Yeah, she's been great. All right, let's go to the back three, the really exciting part. Let's start with the wings. I thought
it was somewhat of a down year for wings. There are a couple that performed well at club levels, and some that were decent in internationals. So again, I had to, but none of the men stood out to me.
I have two guys, but that's all right.
Right. So, and I also wanted to pay my respects to the women as much as the men on this one.
Yeah.
And these two won a World Cup being awesome. Well, this one of the two. So my 11 is Portia Woodman.
Okay. Yeah, I had her in consideration, no doubt. Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
She was in my
dominant as all
15.
hell.
She was in my 15 at the tournament, so
Yeah.
yeah. I obviously recognize that she is who she is, and she's the legend that she is. But it's it's just, man, there's no button there. It's just really hard to another woman. It's really hard to describe what she does for New Zealand rugby, and we're going to talk about another one in a bit. I bet that's the same. And not only is she someone that can propel New Zealand rugby forward in general, like especially the women's game and the way she's played, the way she's carried herself as well, just so good, so bloody good. And well, here's our chance to talk about the other one, because my 11 was none other than Ruby Tui.
Yeah, she's my 14.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah.
So we talk about characters, and we talked about like Marler being a character, and despite the fact that what he did with his pass yesterday, we won't get into that, but
yeah,
it is a game that needs characters in order to grow and to become popular, because people don't just want to watch a bunch of moves. Like, I can honestly say that if I was ever in a position where I was a player that was in any sort of limelight, I would not be the character that rugby needs. I know I'm not. I'm not that type. On the field, I can be a dick, and you could probably see me ready to punch someone's lights out. But other than that, like in interviews, I'd be the most boring motherfucker out there, without a doubt.
Right.
And then you have Ruby Tui, who just takes it to a whole new level as the person she is. And her book is very interesting. If you haven't read it, pick it up. It's very interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, and it like the sing along after the win, like who does that? Like but that was her being overcome with she gets the moment too. Like it's more than just the game. It's more like, because especially most players, you play that kind of physical game, it's tiring, it's mentally tiring, not just physically. So to have the awareness of the moment, and the ability to work in a connection to fan, like, yes, like how many young girls will take up rugby now because of what she did there, just because of that. Like, fuck the rest of the World Cup, like just because of that one thing that will draw people in. And it's like, because it brings them in, it brings everybody together. There's none of this separation. Look what we did, like, not like fucking Salt Bay
oh god,
grabbing the World Cup out of players' hands. What the fuck was that? No, this was inclusive, not like making it about herself. So really well done.
Ugh. So yeah, my 14 was the young player of the year, the breakout player of the year for the men. It was Ange Capuzzo.
Yeah, absolutely.
And really, I'm putting him in here for the one moment against Wales where he just, or the one game against Wales, I should say, because he really just had a game.
Right. I mean, what was it? Was it Adams gave him the medal afterwards?
Yes.
It's like, dude, this is yours. This isn't mine.
Yeah. Why the hell I'm wearing this? I haven't got a clue, but this is yours. Here, take it. I agree. Yeah, it's hard to argue with it. And he's been a nice little injection for them, obviously. And he will be a part of this Azzurri renaissance that comes around here in probably the next 2-3 years. I don't think it's good. It won't peak yet. It won't peak in 23, but it'll peak soon. And he will be, if I'm Italian rugby, I'm putting his face on every poster I can. I'm putting it everywhere.
Right.
And whatever you can do to get him a shoe deal, that needs to go in there too. Like, it needs to be in there.
Oh, this guy's like, I'm watching. Sorry, I got Kansas versus Arkansas. I've got a bowl game on. Some receiver just got legally, like, just the type of tackle you want to see more of in football, wrecked as he caught a pass. And he's literally like, he's laying on the field, like shoulder right to the midsection, and he's nothing but fucking snot bubbles there. He's trying to get his breath back. It's you don't like to see guys get injured, but a good little bit of pain like that. Yeah. Sorry. had to put that in there especially because it was legal. You don't see many hits like that in football, so much appreciated. 15.
I went with Santi Carreras.
Love it.
Mostly for what he did at Twickenham. But he also was a huge part of obviously what he did down in New Zealand for their first one down there as well.
Yep, that too.
So
Yeah,
between the two of them, and then he's obviously had a solid go with Gloucester. So between those things, and he's notable. So
yeah,
he's not a 10 in my team, but he can play 15, and thus he is in my 15. But
so my 15 is someone who should get recognized a lot more than he does. Because he's been a part of an Ireland team that's been massively turned around, and there's been a lot of attention paid to his wingers as being deadly. But Hugo Keenan is a fucking hoose back there.
He's been good.
And I don't think he gets nearly enough credit because like he does more than Stewart. He does more than a lot of the other 15s that are out there. And he's always deadly. He's the one, like, yeah, Lowe and Mac Hansen and all those guys are getting good runs. But just like I said earlier when we were talking about Fleuler's try, Keenan does a lot of the interconnects that maybe either gets one or two touches, but like where he's part of the sandwich, right? He's like either the one or the two as far as who's getting the touches. So
right.
He's been there too. So he gets he should get his, and I don't think he gets the love he deserves.
No,
so I'm giving him some.
He's quite good. I like him a lot. So if I had to pick a super sub, it'd be Freddie Burns. to your previous mention with him for that hit.
Yeah,
guy deserves it. Anywho,
my super sub would be Arundel because just comes off the bench and scores tries.
Yeah. Player of the year,
Vanderfleer.
I went with Tui.
I love that too. Good. I'm glad we did two different.
I went with Tui. Yeah, both had great years. Unquestionably, nobody could really deny it. Really. Your coach,
Wayne Smith.
Same. That we all know what a huge fan of Wayne Smith I am. So it just you could see it the way he just unlocked the players and the manner in which he wanted them to play, and Demand benefited from it highly. I believe Fleuler benefited from it highly. Harini benefited from it highly.
Yeah,
just the likes of those.
That's what coaching like, and he doesn't get he won't get. I mean, he will get a lot of credit for it, but it's like it's one of those like when you do a great job, no one notices what you've done. And like I feel like, as you said, like he'd spent a lot of time figuring out, okay, who are my best players? What's that? Who do I have that's good? Because I want to play my best players. Shocking for a coach. And the second question was, okay, how do I get them to play well together? And what and get the most out of each player, each individual player? What can we do to get the most out of each individual player? And they did that. Like that's exactly what they did. And shock, they won. Like holy, like knock me over with a fucking feather. You take a really fucking talented team and you play to their skills. Wow,
hell of an idea.
Look at what might happen.
Yeah, it's kind of silly.
Yeah, but it's one of those like it just takes someone with enough balls to do it.
Yeah, or just like lack of like, I don't give a shit what anybody else is gonna say. It's like,
right?
Whatever.
There's too much. Yeah, like why? Okay, spy on my practices.
Also,
what do I care?
Like Black Ferns were not anybody's favorite, other than the fact that they were hosting, because they had not had a good run up until the tournament started. They really hadn't.
Yeah.
So
right, but that was part of the process. That was actually part. They were trying different things. They were trying different combinations. It's one thing when you have a shitty run up to a World Cup because you're using the same fucking players and doing the same stupid things over and over again. You're not just going to start switching it around and be like, okay, well, now I'm going to play the good players and play the right way.
Right.
But when you're trying to do the right things and just changing things around a little bit, tweaking here and there, and it's not coming off,
right,
you get a little bit more of a buffer.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. Let's let's rattle through what we can for the Prem. We won't
Yeah.
spend too much time on it. As we Friday night, we'll start with Friday night over at the G-Tech, Irish and Series.
Ugh.
As we alluded to before, Series going back into their old shell, as it were,
Right,
and paying for it dearly.
Yeah, I think it was like a trap game. You're playing the worst team in the league. Whatever, just fucking play and we'll win, or just do the little things and get out with a win. Like they were playing not to lose, and shocker of all shockers, they lost.
They lost. I mean, it was good to see a Sequay back. It really was. But we'll turn our attention to the red cards, and then we'll get on with it, because I think most people can understand what happened in this game. It's not hard.
Right.
Let's talk about Coleman real quick, because this is a guy that's seen red 3 times against Series, and I think he's seen red at least 3 times, and that's within the last year. That should be a huge bell ring to everyone. Like, it needs to be a huge red flag. Like, what the fuck is going on here? This is on the coaches. This is on him. Everybody in this situation needs to work harder to get him to not do this, because that wasn't even close to not being a red card. And I think the one red card that he had that got rescinded was actually the one that he knocked himself out on.
Yeah.
So with that said, that might have just been more of a sympathy thing than reality. Point being is, you've seen red 3 times. That's not a mistake. That's now a problem that you should have addressed if you haven't yet, which he clearly has not. So it's and this is the type of shit that they're trying to get the fuck out of the game. Like, he was always high. I don't care how short or how tall Willie is. Like, and you also talk about a guy that's got concussion issues on top of it. So it's like, fuck. Sorry. There was no mitigation. Always high, always in a bad spot. You're off. Game over.
Yeah.
It's just really, really, really dumb.
Right.
Like, dumb to a dumb level. Can't even understand.
Yeah, so hopefully there's a long suspension in there for him.
I haven't seen anything on it yet.
Yeah, and it was just one of the and for that alone, Sarri should have been like, okay, let's run on them. And what did they do? It felt like Irish had more players on the field. Sometimes it felt like Sarri's had the red card,
right?
And what how is that? That's on that, to me. That's on the coach, not so much the players. What is he doing? Like, what is he having them do? That they're like playing passive with up a man, and it's like, no, you just fucking attack, run on them. And whenever they did run on them, it worked well. They just didn't do it. They literally just put it away.
Didn't do it enough. Yeah.
It's like, no, let's box kick. Fuck box kicking. Just go win the game. Just win it. It's right there.
Right.
Like, you're box kicking. You're trying. Oh, let's play. No, don't. The time for box kicking is over on a red card. Fucking run on them, especially with a lock. You open up that position, and you're going to bring in somebody else. That means they're probably down a back or a loose forward, which means that's one less tackler in the loose. They're going to bring in a lock to replace him, because they have to for scrums. So you've opened up the loose. Fucking use it.
Yep. Didn't want to.
Yeah, that's no, not good.
So on one hand, for London Irish, I have to give him shit, because you had Will Joseph, who was carrying something clearly coming into this match. He was heavily strapped. And you go with a 6-2 split still. Like, you're probably going to have to pull this guy off early. The chances are very high. So you still go with a 6-2 split. On the other side of that, they were smart, and once Coleman got sent off, they brought on Rob Simmons for Basso, who was just a penalty machine. He was the best player on Series.
Yes, he was.
It was bad.
Right.
And if I'm a London Irish fan, and if there's any out there, please let me know your opinion on this. Basso needs to go away. Not been good since he started playing.
I've seen him do a couple things, but
you have Tom Pearson, you have Martin, you have Martin Gonzalez, you have Rogerson, you have Basham, you have Cunningham South, who ends up getting the clincher.
How is
these guys over that are not playing over him? And this is what he does. That was a microcosm. That 15 minutes in which he gave away all those penalties, that is exactly who he's been for this club 90-80% of the time.
Right.
Something like that. Not good. Not good. That's pretty much who he's going to be the majority. So I would be a little pissed if I was them. And then the Earl red card was he trying to get his arm around it? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I thought it was try like I thought if he hadn't dipped, he would have gotten his arm up, but whatever. It's
a red.
It's a red. I'm fine with it because and ultimately I want that type of contact out of the game. And it's hard, but at the same time, he the guy was being he did have the Earl had the option to pull out. But he didn't. So I'd rather him pull because the tackle was being made. It was done. He didn't have to go in and hit. So I'd rather take out that unnecessary hit to save concussions and save people's brains. So no, I'm fine with that. I thought what I didn't like was that wasn't there another one later in the game that was exactly similar to it, and it was a little similar, just a yellow.
It was yellow. Yeah, it was a little.
Yeah, and no, you need the consistency there. That's the one thing that I don't like. If when you set a standard, you have to abide by that standard, and that should have been, red. I'm absolutely fine with Ben Earl being red. The other one should have been too.
Yep. Let's go up to Newcastle real quick. 14 points for Sale, and that's kind of where the gas came off for them.
Yeah,
really.
I feel like it's a tough that's why I'm not that impressed by Sale. This is a game where if you're number 2 in the standings, you should be able to go into the tune and win. And they, it's hard to do. I'm not saying it's easy, but that's a must win. That's an easy win.
Yep.
And they walked away with that. So they're in that pretender category for me. And this is why. Yep. They're not that good. They should have walked away with this. I'm disappointed in Alex for this one too.
Yep.
Alex is getting a little bit of the McCall in him as well.
Yeah,
I feel like he should really just open it up a little bit more. And
would not advise, Alex. Would not advise.
Yeah.
And Bath and Exeter, kind of the same situation, except Exeter were able to hang on.
Yeah, it's exactly they won because it was at Sandy Park.
So I will say this: if Exeter are at one place start of the season, where they've gone in terms of variability is very small. Bath were very low. I think we can all admit that. And they've gone up, and certainly they've gotten a nice boost from the Worcester guys, Ted Hill, Ollie Lawrence.
Right. And they're just
but
not
they've
ready
still
to
gone
win.
up.
Right. They're not ready yet to win at Sandy Park. No. Maybe if this was, 5 or 6 weeks from now, they probably could have done it.
Right.
If it's next year, yeah, I bet they do. Especially with what's next year, with all the exit
Russell,
Exeter us.
Also that Exeter losing a lot of players as well.
I can't even say the exit. It sucks. I don't know what you. There's no unawkward way to cute that up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not. Exeter should have won this game by more than that. If they were with the team that they purport to be.
Yeah, I would say if this was week 1, then this would be a shit show. Then Exeter would have routed them because Bath were poor,
right,
for the most part to start the year,
right.
And Exeter Exeter have probably not changed in terms of how good they are. They're about the same.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens this weekend.
Their main threat's still Dave Ewers falling over, plopping himself over the try line from 2 meters out. Okay, good. You can do that every so often.
Him now. It's dude, he's doing nothing. Right. Cool. He's falling over the line from 2 feet away. Big deal. Right. I can do that. And it's nothing.
It's yeah.
And then let's go to Welford Road, Tigers and Gloucester. This was pretty bad from Gloucester, and Skivs even said so.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help when you have, first off, you have Johnny May out there who I don't, except for he fell over at the end. Congratulations. In garbage time. Good job. You're not that he didn't really contribute anything, and then Reece Samet gets hurt.
Yep, and Santi had to come off too.
Santi had to come off, and that's that's it right there. Yeah. Those two, because you need those two. It's not easy to play at Welford Road. Leicester
Lloyd Evans isn't going to help you,
right? Lloyd Evans is not going to. He will not be there for you.
Trash.
It's not. Yeah, you're going to have to. And they don't have the pack really to to run around Leicester's defense, which is what you really need to do. So,
Right.
and Leicester centers are on form now.
Yeah,
So
Porter and Kelly.
have fun.
Yep. Yeah, Porter kind of struggled to start the game, but then he woke up.
Right. Yeah, and he woke up big time.
Yes, he did.
Like,
yes, he did.
Took him like, oh right, Prem. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I have to say, Dan Cole, you're kind of a moron. What am I supposed to do on the no try on? I was like, you're well beyond the ruck, dude. Let him go. Let him go.
Yeah.
Don't be stupid.
Right.
Like, and also,
right. You
don't need to do that. Van Portfleet's got the scoots to do that. Like, you don't need to do that.
Right.
He can do that on his own. Does not need your illegal help. Like,
right.
Come on, man.
Like, you had to. He absolutely knew what he was doing, and
yeah.
Come on, like he was off the ruck. He wasn't
it.
involved in the ruck, and you just grab a leg, like yeah, someone's gonna.
You're through the ruck. Let him go. Stand up and
right.
start and go do your job. Like, don't give me that. But anyway, Leicester performed well under Wiki, and hey, maybe this is a little bit better, and maybe they start to turn over a little bit here.
Yeah, now they got Wigglesworth as a coach. Maybe things are looking up.
Yeah, so they
no disrespect to Bortho. He did a great fucking job.
Yeah.
This is still his team right now. Like,
yeah.
It'll be Wigglesworth,
no doubt.
Right now, it's just a temporary thing.
Yeah, but still, it's. I mean, hey,
sometimes well. Good job to start with a win.
Yeah, and sometimes you get that new coach vibe, and galvanizes you a little bit.
Right, especially when it's a guy and you played with, and you kind of get what he's cut, and he knows you. That's it's an instant. They trust him. So I would assume the ones who trusted him from the start still trust him even more. And yeah.
And then let's go over to the stoop from yesterday. It was there for the Quins to win, but give Bristol credit. They've been kind of creeping towards this as the season's gone on. They're slowly getting better. They got a result before we went into Champions Cup break, and now they've gotten another big result away from home at the stoop. Didn't score a thing in the second half, but still held firm. So,
but that's the thing. Like, this is why I picked Bristol to finish first at the outset of the year, because this is what they're capable of. It's not Marcus Smith didn't play, but Tommaso Allen a fucking cracker of a match.
He's still good. So don't take that away.
They played very well. And Bristol really, as you said, they shut them down. Like, to hold that team to 12 points at home, no easy feat, and it wasn't a mistake. They did it was an excellent job by the Bristol defense. Especially they prevented 2 tries, took away 2 tries with the Ibitoye dragging who's its foot
DC.
in the touch, who cares, foot in the touch, and then the fucking
tap tackle from AJ.
Oh, the tap tackle from AJ,
and Whiteley got there just to get him to lose it,
just to get the ball out from Esterhazen. You don't just do that either. Like, that's something in your DNA as not only as a person and a player, but also as a team. Like, just no quit type of stuff, and especially when you're right there, you just got to know that don't quit on it, because by all rights, Esterhazen should have scored. Oh yeah,
and he did.
That is a try. That's a try, and they took it away. Like, that's an excellent defensive work, because it's already on the board.
Right. Yeah, I would have said it. I was like, oh, that's it. That's the end.
Yeah.
And who knew, man?
Excellent work. So, but yeah, that's the kind of just like we were talking about, Gloucester aren't quite ready to walk into Welford Road and win. Bath aren't quite ready to walk into Exeter and win. Sale aren't ready to walk into the Toon and win.
Yeah.
Sarries can't sleepwalk against London Irish. Like, Bristol went into the stoop and won that game. So good on them. Like, that,
it's tough.
That's
character.
Effort.
That's character right there. Really
it is. That's what we haven't seen from Pat Lamb's squad in a little bit. So that's looking up for them. And it's there for them too. The table is not
it's all over the place right now. So good luck figuring that out by the end.
Yeah, they are, because Bristol have 21 points. They're 7 points. They're in 10th, and they're 7 points from top 4.
Yep.
So it's game fucking on.
Hang on to your seats, kids.
Yeah.
All right. year in review for us here at T4I. So we had a 40% increase in downloads. Actually, it's pretty damn good.
Wow.
Compared to the 21, 3.5 thousand downloads.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you out there.
Yeah, 3,500 downloads. Most of them, obviously, are registered to our good friends over in the UK. Thank you very much. And the second most being to our friends here in the US. So we appreciate you all. Most downloaded by far was the Six Nations Draft Special. So we have to thank our good friend George for jumping in on that and hanging out with us there, because I'm sure his push helped us with that one. And then
that's the one that I talked least, right?
Yeah, because you were stuck between me and George. Maybe we need to do that more often.
That was the most downloaded, you say? Okay.
Yeah. Oh no, you know what? That was the Prem, which was also the Prem draft.
Oh, that was the Prem.
Most.
Okay.
That was third most. So yeah. So in all, we're creeping up on 9,000 downloads here. It's pretty awesome.
All right.
But in all, and then we started our Patreon this year. And we very, very, very much appreciate our patrons for
thank you so
their
much
support and their their interaction and their engagement, and it really means the world to us. So we appreciate that. But in all, this has been a wonderful year for Ben and myself, and it is only because
didn't even mention the London trip, although we did earlier. But holy shit! But that factor that into it doesn't get better.
Yeah. So yeah, it's only as good as you all make it. So when we have a great year, the only people that we have to thank is you guys, and
seriously,
we really appreciate you
for
all
listening. Yeah.
We talked about it several times before. People ask, well, what is this podcast about? Well, I want to talk rugby with someone,
right? And
Ben does too. So we just hit record and go for it.
Right.
And
we have a little
obviously we lose our way sometimes. There's no doubt about that.
But at least it's organic. We don't, we're not like we're not. I like that we still don't have hot takes just to have hot takes. If we have hot takes, it's because we honestly feel that way. We're not trying to stir up any controversy or shit. It's just this is how I see it. So, right. And I hope that the kind of true neutral approach is helpful for people out there. Not always true neutral, but we don't get the ins and outs of the politics of the Prem and shit like that. We just, or World Rugby. It's just, this is what we see. This is what we, are taken from it.
Certainly the benefit of being where we are over here in the US.
Right.
But yeah, we really appreciate you all. Special thanks to obviously George, and special thanks to Carrick, and special thanks to our patrons, and special thanks to both divisions of the Champions League and what they do and their and all their engagement, and how much that really seeing that those two leagues spin up and do well. And we're top on FRD for 8-team leagues in the Prem for both those two leagues plus the Keepers League. Like that's pretty fucking awesome if you ask me. So I'm thoroughly enjoying that. So we appreciate you all. So we're gonna hop over to the fantasy corner in a little bit here. If you're coming over there, we'll see you there. If not, once again, we really, really appreciate you all. Enjoy your new year. Please be safe. Don't do nothing too stupid. Have a wee bit of fun.
Make sure you get to download us next year too.
Yeah, don't forget that part too.
Well, no, I'm saying don't do anything.
Yeah, no, we need your body so you can hit download.
Stay alive.
But yeah, if you're not joining us on the Fantasy Corner, we appreciate you, and we hope you have a safe new year, a happy new year, and we will see you all in 2023. Have a good one, folks.
Later.
Good.